Here I have the world's first and only 1-to-1 battle-ready Monster Hunter sword. Made in collaboration with the incredibly talented Cold Claw Blades, this thing is ready to slice and dice, and that's exactly what we're gonna do with it today, starting on the small end and working our way up to a complete simulated monster part, complete with flesh, bone, and scale. Cause if you're gonna have the world's only Monster Hunter sword, you gotta see if you could be a Monster Hunter. But before we do that, I wanna go over the specs of this bad boy because they're impressive. First question is why the Corona from the Sword and Shield set? And the answer is, well, weight. This thing is incredibly heavy. If you've seen my other videos where I cover Monster Hunter weapons, you'll know that many of them could weigh in at hundreds of pounds, and a mere human just can't wield that. And if you saw those videos, you know that I assumed that the swords would come in at around 30 pounds. Well, I'm happy to say I was right. This sword is a 1-to-1 scale for what it is in the game, and it comes in at a whopping 30.5 pounds of high carbon battle-forged steel. Now, 30 pounds might not sound like much, and in many other circumstances, it's not. But I did competitive powerlifting in the military, and 30 pounds is typically not much for me. But I can barely wield this thing, and I can't wield it efficiently at that. That's because of the weight distribution, with the overwhelming majority of this thing's weight sitting on the blade away from my center of gravity. It makes it incredibly difficult to hold, and the average person could not even hold this thing upright. And while I might be able to swing this thing around and cut some stuff today, I by no means can wield this in the traditional sense of how you would wield a sword. And that just further proves how insanely strong and durable Monster Hunters are, being able to swing this thing around one-handed while also holding a shield in the other. That's nuts. Now, if you look closely, you'll notice that only one side of the blade is sharpened. Again, going back to weight, that's because it's simply unsafe to have both sides of this thing sharpened, and even the sharp side is not sharp like a kitchen knife. I just tapered the edge so that cutting would be a little bit more effective, because one misswing with this thing could easily sever an entire limb, and I'm not gonna do that for a video. And without wasting any more time, let's go cut some stuff. First up is a pumpkin, which I think will be the easiest of everything on this list, because while they do have a rather tough hide, they are hollow. So there should be a little bit less resistance overall. And let's give her a go. Just absolutely right through. Not even an ounce of difficulty in any way. Let's actually do that again with the blunt end. I'll be surprised, because you can see it still has a tapered edge. It's just not sharpened like the other side is. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think it matters. I think it's thin enough with the weight alone of this thing. We'll take and cleave a pumpkin right in half. So let's give her a go. Too easy. Next up is watermelon. Now, while this is probably about the same toughness as the pumpkin, my guess is that it not being hollow will make it just, on an average day, harder to slice through, but for this, I'm guessing it'll probably feel about the same. I just can't see any amount of fruit actually causing a challenge, so let's give her a go. We might have to find some harder stuff to chop. Now we're getting to some good stuff. We're moving on to coconuts. And the reason we're using a coconut is they're pretty frequently used to simulate the toughness of a human skull in a lot of different kinds of testing. They're very strong, very durable exterior. You know what a coconut is, so we're actually gonna do this two different ways. We're gonna do this with the sharp end, and then just out of curiosity, we're gonna do it with the unsharpened end and just see if it makes any difference whatsoever. The only hard part here is gonna be actually hitting it, because it's kind of hard to aim this thing, believe it or not. So that would be a human head, roughly. Not exactly a clean cut, but you know, not bad. not bad. So let's do it again. This time, using the flat portion of the blade, and see how well it does. Ugh, gotta be careful with that sharp end. Here we go. Ah, there was a difference there. So you can see, even just having that little bit of sharpening on there made the difference between basically crushing it and actually cutting through the fruit. It's pretty exciting. All right, next up is something called warbler sheeting. Now, what's important about this is its durability is very similar to that of chitin or keratin, which is what a lot of different scales are made of, such as like arathilose. This is similar to what we could assume their scales would be like. So let's put this on top of one of the fruit pieces and give it a slice and see how it does. Do this guy here. Yeah. There's just nothing. Nothing can stop it. All right, so that was scaling pretty much right in half. But now, we're on to the final one. And this one is exciting. All right, guys. Here is a ballistics gel block, about 7 inches tall, with a complete cow femur inside, so that we have some flesh, some bone inside, and we're gonna add 3 layers of warbler on top so that we can have as close to a real monster part as possible, complete with flesh, bone, and scales. I only got one of these, so let's hope I don't mess this up. At this point, I want to know if you think it's just going to cleave right through it before you watch. Let me know in the comments. Took a lot of time to make this, so if you think I earned a like and subscribe, go ahead and do that now. And without wasting any more time, let's see if it's got what it takes. 3, 2, 1. Wow. That's pretty impressive. We can see that it actually did cleave pretty deep in there, and it even did crack the bone. But it just couldn't make it all the way through. But I tell you what, it did make it through all 3 layers of warbler, and I could have swung harder. So let's see if 2 chops can have us completely cleave through this thing. One more shot. I think it's safe to say this one probably finishes the job. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like more of this, let me know. I've got some other ballistic gel ideas. Gonna need some views and some likes to do this again. It's not exactly cheap. I'll see you guys in the next one. Dang. Let's really get it. Oh, I'm hitting the back of the table at this point. Those swings are exhausting. Here it is. And there you have it. Can't quite go all the way through. The bone is tougher than I gave it credit for. And that is a Monster Hunter sword. So, for those of you still around, I went ahead and peeled back the ballistics gel. As you can see, we didn't sever the bone, but I mean, that kind of damage to a bone is absolutely crippling. I mean, it's caved in, it's crumbled, it's shattered. So did it sever it? No. But is it debilitating? Absolutely. All that force is just creating a pit, completely caving in that bone in that section. No matter what you hit with this, whether it goes through or not, that limb's done for.